In today's video, we're uncovering the incredible history of the 1971 era UK Elizabeth II 5 new pence coin. We'll reveal the rare mistakes that slipped out of the Royal Mint, the jaw-dropping values these coins have fetched at auction, and exactly how to check if you have one hiding in your collection. Because I'll reveal the single most astonishing 1971 5p error ever discovered, a coin so rare that experts believe it could command a seven-figure fortune. The birth of the 5 new pence coin. To understand why the 1971 5 new pence is so important, we need to step back in time to decimal day, February 15, 1971. For centuries, Britain used the old pounds, shillings, and pence system. 1 pound equaled to 140 pence. But with decimalization, the system was simplified. 100 new pence equals 1 pound. But because of the rush to produce so many coins during decimalization, mistakes were inevitable. And those rare mistakes are the reason we're talking about this coin today. The 1971 error coins, wrong planchet errors. These coins can look slightly smaller, lighter, or darker in color. Values, £5,000 to £20,000, depending on rarity. Off-center strikes, the more dramatic the shift, the higher the value. Values, £1,000 to £10,000. Double strikes, collectors love these. Values, to £1,000 to £15,000. Mule errors, extremely rare, and highly desirable. Values, £100,000 to £500,000. Even £1 million or more. Clipped blankets, rare and noticeable. Values, £500 to £5,000. Die cracks and cuts, depending on severity, these can fetch hundreds to thousands. Why are these errors worth so much? Rarity, billions of 5p coins were made, but errors. They slipped through in tiny numbers. Most were caught and melted down, very few survived. Historical significance, decimalization was a turning point in British history. Collectors love coins from 1971 because they represent that moment of change. Collector demand. Coin collectors chase uniqueness. A one-of-a-kind error coin is the ultimate prize. Condition. If the coin is uncirculated or professionally graded by NGC or PCGS, its value skyrockets. That's why a tiny 5p coin with an error can command life-changing money at auction. Famous auction sales. Over the years, rare 1971 5p errors have appeared in auctions, and the results have been jaw-dropping. A 1971 5p off-center strike sold for nearly £7,500. A wrong planchet error, a 5p struck on a smaller blank, went for £12,000. Experts believe that if a true mule error 1971 5p ever surfaced, it could reach £1 million or more. That's right, a coin you could mistake for pocket change could end up being the highlight of an elite collector's portfolio. How to spot a valuable 1971 5p. Weight and size. A normal 5p weighs 5.65 grams. If yours is lighter, heavier, or a different size, it could be a wrong planchet. Off-center designs. Check if the Queen's portrait or the thistle is shifted off to one side. Doubling. Look closely at the letters or numbers. If they appear shadowed or doubled, it could be a double strike. Missing metal. Clipped edges are a big clue. Certification. If you suspect your coin is rare, get it graded by PCGS or NGC. We'll dive deep into the fascinating world of the 1971 era UK Elizabeth II to new pence coin. You'll discover the history behind this coin, the rare mistakes that make it astronomically valuable, how to identify if you have one, and the record-breaking prices these treasures have fetched at auction. Because I'll reveal the single most jaw-dropping 1971 2p error ever discovered, a coin so rare it could easily command a seven-figure fortune. The birth of the decimal to new pence. To understand why the 1971 to new pence coin is so important, we need to travel back in time to one of the biggest moments in modern British coinage, decimalization. This transition was massive. Billions of new coins had to be produced by the Royal Mint in preparation for the changeover. Among them was the brand new to new pence coin. The 2p quickly became a common coin, but the rush to produce billions of coins for circulation meant errors slipped through, and those rare survivors are now some of the most valuable coins in British history. The 1971 error coins, wrong planchet errors. Some 2p coins were mistakenly struck on blanks meant for 1p or foreign coins. These wrong planchet errors are extremely rare and can sell for £5,000 to £20,000. Off-center strikes. The coin design is struck off-center, leaving a blank crescent of metal exposed. Depending on severity, these can fetch £1,000 to £10,000. Double strikes. A coin struck twice by the dies, leaving overlapping portraits or designs. Dramatic examples can reach £1,000 to £15,000. Mule errors. Imagine a 2p coin with the wrong reverse. That's a mule error. Mules are the holy grail of coin errors and can command hundreds of thousands, even millions. Clipped blankets. Rare and collectible. These can sell for £500 to £5,000. Die breaks and cuts. When the dies crack or break, creating raised lumps or extra blobs of metal on the coin. Unusual examples can fetch hundreds to thousands. Famous auction sales. Let's talk about some jaw-dropping sales that stunned collectors. A rare off-center 1971 to be error sold for nearly £10,000 at auction. A wrong planchet 1971 to be struck on a 1p blank reached £15,000. Experts estimate that a genuine mule error 19,712 pence could sell for £500,000 to £1 million or more, given its rarity and historical importance. Think about that. A coin worth just 2p at face value could pay for a luxury home. How to spot a valuable 1971 error 2p. So how do you check if you have one of these rare coins? Check the weight. A standard 2p weighs 7.12 grams. Wrong plankets will weigh less or more. Look for off-center designs. If part of the coin is blank, it could be valuable. Inspect for doubling. Letters, numbers, or designs that look shadowed may indicate a double strike. Edge inspection. Errors sometimes show unusual edges, clipped or misaligned. The 1982 Rare UK Elizabeth 20 pence coin. This coin might look like an ordinary 20 pence piece at first glance, but it hides a secret that could make even seasoned collectors' jaws drop. It's one of those rare pieces that turns everyday change into a life-changing treasure. So don't blink, because by the end of this video, you might just find out that the next coin sitting in your collection could be worth a small fortune. Now, let's go back in time to 1982. Britain was under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and the Royal Mint was busy modernizing coinage. The decimal system, which had been introduced just over a decade earlier, was still being refined. The 20 pence coin had officially entered circulation in 1982, designed to bridge the gap between the 10p and 50p coins. It was meant to make everyday transactions smoother, but little did anyone know that a small minting issue that year would create one of the most sought-after British coins of all time. But here's where things get interesting. While millions of regular 1980 to 20p coins were struck perfectly, a small number came out with minting errors so significant that their rarity skyrocketed. And today, these coins are known among collectors as 1982 error 20 pence coins, pieces that can fetch hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of pounds depending on their condition and type of error. Some examples have even been listed for six-figure sums by collectors who believe they hold one of the rarest decimal errors in UK coinage history. The 1980 to 20p coin was minted in copper nickel and was supposed to follow a very strict design and quality standard. But as with any large-scale minting process, mistakes can happen. Some of the most valuable 1982 error coins are those that were struck off-center, double-struck, or have missing details. Others show dramatic die cracks, planchet flaws, or misaligned obverse and reverse images. These are not your typical circulation wear issues. These are genuine Royal Mint blunders, the kind that make collectors' hearts race. One of the most talked about varieties is the 1980 to 20 pence with misaligned die error, where the Queen's portrait doesn't line up correctly with the reverse. Another known variant is the double strike error, where the coin appears to have been struck twice, causing a ghosted or overlapping design. Some coins even show a partial blank area, indicating that part of the metal planchet didn't strike fully, creating a smooth, mysterious patch on the coin surface. And here's where the value goes through the roof. An ordinary 1980 to 20p coin is worth just face value 20 pence, but an error version? Depending on the severity and uniqueness of the flaw, it can sell for £500, £1,000, or even £5,000 or more. And if it's a one-of-a-kind minting mistake, something that's never been documented or seen before, collectors could pay tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of pounds for it. There are reports of high-grade examples being listed online for up to £250,000 or more, as collectors chase that perfect piece of minting history. Let's talk about the planchet errors, too. Some 1982 coins were struck on the wrong metal plankets, blanks intended for other denominations. Imagine a 20p coin struck on a 10p or even a 5p blank. The size, weight, and edge would all be wrong, and collectors go absolutely crazy for such pieces. These off-metal strikes can sell for £10,000, £20,000, or even £50,000, depending on rarity. They're extremely scarce, and every time one surfaces, it makes headlines in the numismatic world. Another major draw is the proof-like 198,000 to 120 pence error coins that somehow entered circulation. These coins were not meant for public release. They were test strikes or early prototypes, showing a mirror-like finish and razor-sharp details. If you ever find a 1980 to 20p with unusually shiny surfaces or a deeper, polished luster, don't ignore, it could be worth a fortune. Now, one of the rarest rumors among collectors involves a 1980 to mule error, a coin supposedly struck with the wrong die combination, possibly pairing the 20p reverse with the obverse of another denomination. While no officially confirmed mule has been documented from 1982, collectors have reported coins that appear mismatched, suggesting something extraordinary may exist. If an authenticated 1980 to mule 20p coin ever appears, its value could easily reach £1 million or more, simply because it would be unique, a true one-of-one in British coinage history. A tiny, ordinary-looking 1983 UK Elizabeth £1 coin, the kind millions once spent on a loaf of bread, could now be one of the rarest and most valuable modern British coins in existence. So before you rush to spend that old coin sitting in a jar somewhere, stay with me, because what you're about to discover might just change the way you look at every coin you own. Now, let's dive into the mysterious story of the 1983 era UK Elizabeth II £1 coin. A piece that has caused shockwaves among collectors and treasure hunters across the world. The year was 1983, a significant one in the history of British currency. This was the first full year after the pound note had started to fade out of circulation, and the new £100 coin made of nickel brass with a golden tone was taking its place, designed to be sturdy and long-lasting. It featured Queen Elizabeth II's portrait on the obverse by Arnold Machin, and the royal arms of the United Kingdom on the reverse, designed by Eric Sewell. It was meant to symbolize the strength and unity of Britain. Some 1983 £1 coins were accidentally struck with the wrong inscription on the edge. Instead of bearing the correct edge inscription for the 1983 design, Decus et Tatem in Latin for an ornament and a safeguard, these rare coins carried an inscription meant for the following year's design, the 1984 Welsh Leek £1 coin, which read Pledio with IMGWLAD, meaning true am I to my country. This blunder meant that a handful of 1983 dated coins had a mismatched edge legend, essentially a 1983 coin with a 1984 inscription. These became known as the 1983 £1 error coins, or more precisely, the 1983 mule error coins, in coin collecting. A mule refers to a coin struck with mismatched dies or elements that were never intended to be paired together. At first, no one realized this error had even happened. Millions of coins were minted, and only a few of these error coins slipped into circulation. It wasn't until years later that collectors began to notice something strange about certain 1983 £1 coins. Their edge inscription didn't match the design or the year. What seemed like a minor difference turned out to be a discovery that would make history today. The 1983 mule error is considered one of the most valuable £1 coins ever struck. Its rarity is astonishing. Experts estimate that fewer than 20,000 pounds of these coins exist, though some suggest it might be far fewer. The Royal Mint has never confirmed the exact number, adding even more mystery and excitement to this rare coins. Now, let's talk about what makes this coin so valuable and how you can identify if you've got one hiding in your collection. The regular 1983 £1 coin should have Decus et Tatem engraved on its edge, which translates to an ornament and a safeguard. But the error coin, the one that can make collectors' hearts skip a beat, carries the Welsh motto Pledio with IMGWLAD instead. This single detail is the key that separates an ordinary £1 coin worth just face value from one that could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of pounds, depending on its condition and rarity. In recent years, examples of the 1983 error pound coin have appeared at auctions and shocked even experienced numismatists. In circulated condition, these coins can easily fetch £500 to £1,500, and in exceptional mint state condition, prices have soared well beyond £5,000 to £10,000. Some private sales have reportedly reached £15,000 or more, especially for perfectly preserved examples verified by professional grading services. And here's where things get even more exciting. There have been whispers in the collecting community, rumors that a few pristine, uncirculated specimens could be worth up to £50,000 or even £100,000, depending on demand and market hype. It's no exaggeration to say that this tiny golden coin, once worth just £1, has become a modern-day treasure. So how exactly did this happen? Let's dig deeper into the minting process and how such an error could have slipped through the strict quality controls of the Royal Mint. Each year, the Royal Mint produces millions of coins for circulation, using specific dies and edge inscriptions that correspond to that year's design. For 1983, the coin was supposed to feature the royal arms with the Latin motto. The following year, 1984, was set to feature the Welsh Leek design with the Welsh inscription. Somewhere along the production line, however, a batch of blanks or dies intended for 1984 were accidentally paired with the 1983 design. Because the edge lettering is applied before the coin is struck, this mismatch wasn't visible during minting. It only became noticeable later when someone inspected the edge closely. It's a classic example of how a tiny oversight can create something extraordinary. Collectors now call it the 1983 £1 mule error, and it's one of those legendary coins every UK collector dreams of finding. Let's imagine for a moment, what if, tucked away in your old coin jar, you had one of these incredibly rare pieces? Just picture it, a coin you thought was worth £1 suddenly turning out to be worth thousands, or maybe tens of thousands. That's the thrill that keeps collectors searching through every old bag of change, every forgotten drawer, every coin inherited from a grandparent. And the beauty of this particular coin is that it's from a year so recent that many people still have them around without realizing their hidden potential. Most of these coins were minted at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, South Wales, but the error likely occurred during the transition between production runs. Now, one of the most common questions collectors ask is, how can I tell if my coin is the rare error version? It's truly astonishing how such a small detail can mean the difference between pocket change and a collector's dream. As for its appearance, you're digging through your loose change. But what if I told you that this simple-looking 1979D Washington quarter could actually be worth a fortune? hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars depending on its condition, error type, or minting variety. Yes, that's no exaggeration. Some of these coins have shocked collectors at auction with sky-high prices, making them one of the most talked-about quarters in modern American coin history. So stay tuned, because in this video, we're uncovering the real secrets behind the 1979 Washington quarter, the surprising minting mistakes that make it incredibly rare, and how your coin could be worth life-changing money. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with MS Mint State coins representing uncirculated condition. MS60, MS63, light bag marks, worth around $5, $20. MS6 for MS66, brilliant surfaces, worth $100, $300. MS67, rare, only a few known, can reach to $1,000 to $5,000. MS68 or higher, almost perfect, these can skyrocket to $10,000, $20,000, or even more. At top auctions, one near-perfect 1979 Washington quarter in MS68 condition has been valued at nearly $30,000, $40,000, with speculation that the next perfect example could break the $100,000 barrier. The story behind the Washington quarter. To understand why the 1979 Washington quarter is so special, we need to rewind a bit, back to the origins of the Washington quarter series itself. The first Washington quarter was struck in 1932, originally designed to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The 1979 quarter sits right in the heart of this historic series, but it also marks an interesting transitional era for the U.S. Mint, when several technical and metal composition changes led to fascinating mint errors and varieties, a year of change at the U.S. Mint. It was the same year they launched the Susan B. Anthony dollar coin, introducing a smaller, copper-nickel dollar coin to replace the silver-colored Eisenhower dollar. The Mint was modernizing its production, experimenting with new dies, and facing increasing pressure to improve coin quality. The Denver Mint, represented by the letter D under the coin's date, produced hundreds of millions of Washington quarters that year. In total, over 489,1979 quarters were struck, which might make you think they're all common. But here's the twist. A small fraction of them were minted with unusual die errors, off-metal strikes, and ultra-high grades that make them extremely rare and valuable. The rarest 1979 Washington quarter errors. Not all quarters are created equal. During production, even the smallest mistakes at the Mint can create major collector demand. Some of these rare 1979 Washington quarters are worth tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Off-center strike error. If only 5 to 10% of the design is missing, it might sell for $50, $100. But if 40 to 60% of the design is missing while still showing the full date and mint mark, collectors can pay $500 to $2,000 or more. Double strike error. A crisp double strike from 1979 can fetch $1,000 to $5,000, depending on condition. Clipped planchette error. A clipped 1979 quarter in mint state could bring $250 to $1,000. Broad strike error without rim. Collectors love broad strikes. Some have sold for $300 to $800. Wrong planchette foreign metal error. These wrong metal errors are incredibly rare and can sell for $10,000 to $30,000, depending on the metal and condition. Overstruck error on another coin. These freak errors have fetched $50,000 to over $100,000 at major auctions. Full steps and mirror-like proof-like strikes. High-grade examples certified as MS68 or higher by PCGS or NGC can reach $5,000 to $15,000. If one ever graded MS69, it could easily be a six-figure coin. The power of coin grading. Why condition means everything. Just like diamonds or vintage cars, condition is everything in coin collecting. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with MS Mint State coins representing uncirculated condition. MS60, MS63, light bag marks, worth around $5, $20. MS6 for MS66, brilliant surfaces, worth $100, $300. MS67, rare, only a few known, can reach to $1,000 to $5,000. MS68 or higher, almost perfect, these can skyrocket to $10,000, $20,000, or even more. At top auctions, one near-perfect 1979D Washington quarter in MS6-8 condition has been valued at nearly $30,000, $40,000, with speculation that the next perfect example could break the $100,000 barrier. The most valuable 1979D quarters ever sold. Let's look at a few real-world auction examples that prove these coins are far from ordinary. 1979D Washington quarter, MS68. PCGS certified. Sold for $25,000 at Heritage Auctions. Pristine condition with full strike and bright luster. 1979D quarter with double strike error. Sold for $7,500. Clear double image across the obverse. 1979D quarter struck on a dime planchette. Realized $15,600. Smaller, lighter, and off metal. 1979D quarter broad strike with full date visible. Sold for $1,000 to $150. 1979D quarter overstruck on a Lincoln cent. Estimated value over $50,000, one of the rarest known examples. It's these incredible anomalies that turn the ordinary 1979D Washington quarter into a collector's dream and millionaire's prize. Why collectors love the 1979D quarter. Collectors chase the 1979D not just for its rarity, but because it represents a pivotal era in U.S. coin history, a time when mints were shifting from traditional hand-prepared dies to more modern, mass-production techniques. This transition produced fascinating minting quirks, slight misalignments, weak strikes, and off-metal errors that slipped through unnoticed. Add to that the nostalgia factor. Coins from the 1970s carry the spirit of an era of cultural change in America. People love collecting coins from this decade because they're still affordable to start with, yet have massive upside potential. And as the number of pristine, untouched examples dwindles, values continue to climb every year. How to check if your 1979D quarter is valuable? Now here's the part you've been waiting for. How can you tell if your 1979D Washington quarter might be worth a fortune? Here's a checklist to help you. Look for the mint mark D under the date. This identifies Denver Mint coins. Examine the surface. Is it shiny and scratch-free? Uncirculated coins are much more valuable. Check for errors, off-center designs, doubling, missing letters, or unusual edges. Weigh the coin. Should be 5.67 grams. Anything significantly lighter or heavier could be a wrong planchette error. Use a magnifying glass. Look closely at the Liberty, In God We Trust, and date for doubling or distortions. Send to a grading service. Professional grading from PCGS or NGC can multiply the value several times. If you find a 1979D with visible doubling or off-metal color, you might just be holding a 5- or 6-figure coin in your hand. Potential future value. The next $1 million quarter? The coin market is booming, and rare modern errors are now fetching prices that rival early 1900s silver coins. Experts predict that as the number of perfect high-grade 1979D quarters shrinks, the next top-graded example could easily surpass the $100,000 mark, and if it combines a high-grade with a rare error, it could reach $500,000 or even $1 million. That's right, a coin once worth 25 cents could become one of the most valuable quarters in U.S. history, the legacy of the 1979D Washington quarter. The 1979D Washington quarter isn't just another coin, it's a symbol of American craftsmanship, history, and hidden fortune. It represents a moment when precision met imperfection, and those rare imperfections became treasures for collectors worldwide. Every coin tells a story, and for the 1979D quarter, that story continues to evolve, from pocket change to precious investment, from everyday money to numismatic legend. Conclusion: check your pocket change. So, the next time you come across a 1979D Washington quarter, don't toss it into a vending machine or coin jar. Take a closer look. Because that little coin might just be your hidden jackpot, a piece of metal that could change your life forever. Whether it's a mint error, a proof-like strike, or a high-grade survivor, the 1979D quarter proves one incredible truth. In the world of coins, even the smallest treasures can hide unbelievable fortunes. So check your pockets, your coin rolls, and your old collections, because that dull-looking 1979D quarter might be the next $1 million discovery. Yes, we're talking about one of the most misunderstood and surprisingly valuable U.S. coins of the modern era, the 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollar. At first glance, it looks ordinary small, silvery, and often confused with a quarter. But certain 1979 D era coins have shocked collectors, with auction prices from hundreds to thousands. And in extremely rare cases, estimates soaring into the millions of dollars. So, before you spend that dull dollar in your wallet, stay tuned because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly fortune and how to spot them. The background. Let's rewind to the late 1970s. America was changing fast. The U.S. Mint wanted to modernize, to make transactions easier, faster, and more efficient. That's when they introduced a brand new coin in 1979, the Susan B. Anthony dollar, honoring one of America's greatest women's rights activists. The idea was bold: replace the bulky Eisenhower dollar with a smaller, more practical coin that could fit into vending machines and be used in daily commerce. The coin was made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, weighing 8.1 grams, with an 11-sided border inside a round shape. It was the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real woman. Susan B. Anthony, a historic move. The most valuable errors and varieties. Now, let's get into the part you came for, the error coins that turn an ordinary dollar into a life-changing treasure. Off-center strike error. The more dramatic the off-center, the more valuable the coin. While 50% or more off-center with a full visible date can be worth $10,000 to $25,000 or higher. Double die obverse DDO. Depending on the clarity and position of the doubling, these coins can sell for $500 to $5,000, and in pristine mint states, some have reached $15,000 or more. Clipped planchette error. Collectors love these dramatic errors, and depending on the size of the clip, they can range from $200 to $2,000. Wrong planchette error. These coins are extremely rare and highly prized. Verified examples have sold for $10,000 to $100,000. Missing clad layer error. These coins can easily sell for $1,000 to $5,000 and higher if certified and uncirculated. Record-breaking sales and auction. Let's look at some real-world auction results that prove how valuable these error coins can be. A 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollar graded MS68 by PCGS once sold for $15,000 to $175 simply for its flawless condition and stunning luster. A 1979D struck on a quarter planchette sold for nearly $28,750 at Heritage Auctions. A dramatic off-center strike example with 60% design missing realized over $16,000. Experts estimate that the rarest wrong planchette errors or multi-struck pieces could top $100,000 or even approach $1 million if discovered today. And here's the craziest part, many of these coins were found by ordinary people in pocket change, rolls from banks, or even family coin jars. How to identify and authenticate rare 1979D dollars? If you're wondering how to check your coins, here's what to do. Inspect the date and rim. Compare the rim spacing wide versus narrow. If the date nearly touches the rim, you might have a wide rim error. Use a magnifying glass to look for doubling on the text and numbers. Weigh your coin. The correct weight should be 8.1 grams. Anything significantly lighter or heavier could indicate a wrong planchette or missing clad layer. Check the strike alignment. Off-center designs or partial blanks are big red flags and big money. Look at the edges and color. A visible copper streak or two-tone surface might mean a missing clad layer. Once you suspect you have something rare, don't clean it. Cleaning can destroy the value instantly. Instead, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS, NGC, or NX for authentication. A certified coin with a label like mint error or MS68 can multiply its market value instantly. Why the 1979D stands out. So, what makes the 1979D issue so special among Susan B. Anthony dollars? Because it represents the first year of issue, struck at the Denver Mint, which was known for powerful, detailed strikes. Collectors love first-year coins, and when combined with rare errors, the demand skyrockets. Plus, since most Americans ignored the coin, many were lightly circulated or stored away, preserving high-quality examples that now sell for thousands. It's a modern coin with low competition, but high reward. making it one of the best-kept secrets in U.S. numismatics. Potential future value. As time passes, the Susan B. Anthony dollar series gains more respect among collectors. What was once considered a failure is now seen as a symbol of progress and rarity. With each passing year, fewer high-grade and error examples remain in the wild. That scarcity drives up prices. Experts believe that pristine MS68 or error 1979 to Susan B. Anthony dollars could double or triple in value over the next decade, and if a previously unknown major mint error emerges, it could shatter all auction records, possibly reaching the $1 million mark. Final thoughts. So, the next time you come across a Susan B. Anthony dollar, don't shrug it off. You might be holding a small silver coin that's worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars. Check the rim. Inspect the strike. Look for color changes, doubling, or misalignments. Because that little D mint mark from Denver could mean D for dollars, big dollars. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most underrated treasures. Yes, we're talking about one of the most misunderstood and surprisingly valuable U.S. coins of the modern era, the 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollar. At first glance, it looks ordinary, small, silvery, and often confused with a quarter. But certain 1979 D era coins have shocked collectors, with auction prices from hundreds to thousands. And in extremely rare cases, estimates soaring into the millions of dollars. So, before you spend that dull dollar in your wallet, stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly fortune and how to spot them. The background. Let's rewind to the late 1970s. America was changing fast. The U.S. Mint wanted to modernize, to make transactions easier, faster, and more efficient. That's when they introduced a brand new coin in 1979, the Susan B. Anthony dollar, honoring one of America's greatest women's rights activists. The idea was bold: replace the bulky Eisenhower dollar with a smaller, more practical coin that could fit into vending machines and be used in daily commerce. The coin was made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, weighing 8.1 grams, with an 11-sided border inside a round shape. It was the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real woman, Susan B. Anthony, a historic move. The most valuable errors and varieties. Now, let's get into the part you came for, the error coins that turn an ordinary dollar into a life-changing treasure. Off-center strike error. The more dramatic the off-center, the more valuable the coin. While 50% or more off-center with a full visible date can be worth $10,000 to $25,000 or higher. Double die obverse DDO. Depending on the clarity and position of the doubling, these coins can sell for $500 to $5,000, and in pristine mint states, some have reached $15,000 or more. Clipped planchette error. Collectors love these dramatic errors, and depending on the size of the clip, they can range from $200 to $2,000. Wrong planchette error. These coins are extremely rare and highly prized. Verified examples have sold for $10,000 to $100,000. Missing clad layer error. These coins can easily sell for $1,000 to $5,000 and higher if certified and uncirculated. Record-breaking sales and auction. Let's look at some real-world auction results that prove how valuable these error coins can be. A 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollar graded MS68 by PCGS once sold for $15,000 to $175 simply for its flawless condition and stunning luster. A 1979 D struck on a quarter planchette sold for nearly $28,750 at Heritage Auctions. A dramatic off-center strike example with 60% design missing realized over $16,000. Experts estimate that the rarest wrong planchette errors or multi-struck pieces could top $100,000 or even approach $1 million if discovered today. And here's the craziest part, many of these coins were found by ordinary people in pocket change, rolls from banks, or even family coin jars. The 19760 error bicentennial Kennedy half dollar. Have you ever held a coin that could be worth thousands or even millions without even realizing it? Imagine finding an old tucked away in a drawer, inside an old coin jar. Or maybe in your pocket change, and discovering it's one of the rarest and most valuable bicentennial coins ever struck by the U.S. Mint. Yes, you heard that right, a simple half dollar that was once worth 50 cents could now fetch staggering prices that leave collectors speechless. Life-changing money, and how to spot them before someone. The year 1976 was a historic moment in American numismatics. It marked the nation's bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. To celebrate, the U.S. Mint released special commemorative designs for the quarter, half dollar, and dollar coins. Each of these featured the dual date 1776 to 1976, symbolizing 2 centuries of American freedom. But among these millions of half dollars, one coin stands out: the 1976 D. Kennedy half dollar, especially those struck with unusual errors and rare varieties that have driven collectors into a frenzy for decades. The front, or obverse, retained Gilroy Roberts' iconic portrait of Kennedy, but included the dual dates 1776 to 1976 just below his neck. These coins were made in both copper-nickel clad for circulation and a limited number of 40% silver versions for collectors. But it's the errors, the accidents, the freak strikes that make the 1976 D. Kennedy half dollar so incredibly valuable. But that's just the beginning. Some collectors have discovered off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned when struck, leaving part of the design missing or shifted dramatically. The more off-center the coin, and the more of the design still visible, the higher its value. A 1976 D. Kennedy half dollar with a 50% off-center strike has been known to bring in $5,000 or more. Depending on grade and eye appeal, then there are planchette errors coins struck on the wrong type of metal. The normal 1976D was struck in copper-nickel clad, but a few incredibly rare examples were mistakenly struck on leftover silver plankets from the earlier 40% silver issues. If you find one of these, you're holding a small fortune. One verified example of a 1976D struck on a silver planchette sold for over $20,000 at auction. Another similar piece, authenticated by PCGS, reached nearly $40,000 because of its stunning condition and rarity. But wait, it gets even crazier. There have been verified cases of bicentennial Kennedy half dollars struck on foreign plankets, metal blanks intended for other coins or countries. These mysterious pieces often weigh differently than normal half dollars and have a distinct color or tone. Because of their extreme rarity and unique story, such coins can fetch $10,000 to $50,000, sometimes even more if authenticated by top grading services like PCGS or NGC. Now let's talk about another jaw-dropping type, the clipped planchette error. This happens when the metal sheet used to cut the coin blanks overlaps, causing a curved bite or missing piece on the edge of the coin. A perfect clipped planchette bicentennial Kennedy half dollar can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially if it shows clear details and remains in uncirculated condition. And if you think that's wild, consider the die adjustment strike, a coin that was struck with too little pressure as the mint adjusted the machines. These coins have soft, faded designs, almost ghost-like images. To most people, they might look worn out or damaged, but collectors who know what they're seeing can recognize this as a legitimate mint error. Some die adjustment strikes have sold for $1,000 or more, depending on the details and visual clarity. Of course, condition plays a massive role in value. A flawless, high-grade 1976 D error Kennedy half dollar graded MS67 or higher can skyrocket in price. For example, an MS67 example with a strong double die obverse sold for over $7,500, while pristine proof errors struck on silver plankets have crossed the $15,000 mark. Coins with mirror-like surfaces, vibrant toning, or dramatic visual appeal are especially coveted by serious collectors. Now, while most bicentennial Kennedy half dollars are easy to find, the ones that have misstrikes, double details, or were struck on the wrong metal are like winning lottery tickets. And here's something even more exciting. Some experts believe there are still undiscovered 1976 D errors out there. Many coins from that era were stored away in rolls, bags, and mint sets, never fully inspected. That means your next coin hunt could lead to an incredible discovery hiding in plain sight. Imagine finding a 1976 D. Kennedy half dollar struck on a quarter planchette, a smaller metal blank meant for a Washington quarter. These coins appear thinner and lighter, with missing parts of the design due to the smaller surface area. One of these rare wrong planchette strikes sold for nearly $10,000 at auction. Another was discovered in pristine condition and authenticated by NGC, bringing in a staggering $12,500. And then there's the bicentennial proof error, a set of proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint that included error Kennedy half dollars with mirrored finish and striking defects. Some of these coins escaped the mint by mistake and have since become legends in the numismatic world, commanding tens of thousands of dollars. It's important to note that not all errors are immediately visible. Some may appear as subtle doubling, extra thickness in the letters, or faint doubling around Kennedy's profile. Even tiny minting flaws can make a massive difference in value if they're unique and well-preserved. That's why collectors recommend inspecting your coins under magnification or having them authenticated by professionals like PCGS or NGC. Now, for the grand question, how high can the value really go? The answer might shock you. While most valuable 1976 D Kennedy half dollars sell in the hundreds or thousands, the most extreme and unique error types, especially those combining multiple mistakes, have crossed the six-figure range. Some experts estimate that if a one-of-a-kind mint error or discovery piece surfaces, it could fetch well over $1 million in the right auction. Think about that, a coin minted for the bicentennial celebration, worth 50 cents when it left the Denver Mint, could now be someone's golden ticket to financial freedom. These stories are what keep collectors and treasure hunters searching every day, turning over each coin with the hope of finding that one extraordinary piece. Even standard 1976 D Kennedy half dollars in pristine condition can bring in more than you think. Brilliant uncirculated coins, especially those with strong luster and no contact marks, can sell for $10 to $25. Proof versions in their original mint packaging often go for $20 to $50. And those graded MS67 or higher can reach $300 to $500. But when you add an error, any mint mistake, at all, the price jumps exponentially. And let's not forget the silver versions. While most circulated bicentennial halves are copper-nickel, some 40% silver issues, especially those from the Denver Mint with error features, have sold for $10,000 to $20,000, depending on their condition and uniqueness. These silver error coins shimmer differently under light, often displaying a soft, rich tone that immediately catches the eye. Collectors around the world are still fascinated by the bicentennial series, and the Kennedy half dollar remains one of the most iconic symbols of American history. Each of these coins represents not just a piece of metal, but a story of America's 200th birthday, of the mint's innovation, and of the lucky few who uncover priceless treasures in the most unexpected places. So, before you spend or trade away any old 1976 D Kennedy half dollar, take a close look. Check for doubling, off-center designs, missing details, or unusual metal tones. If you think something looks off, it could be your ticket to a huge payday. Even small errors can bring hundreds, while major mint blunders can bring life-changing amounts. The next time you sort through pocket change, coin rolls, or an old family collection, remember this: not every treasure shines at first glance. Some of the rarest and most valuable 1976 D bicentennial Kennedy half dollars are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with a keen eye and a bit of patience to find them. Who knows, you could be holding one of these extraordinary coins right now. And if you are, congratulations, you've just discovered a piece of history worth far more than 50 cents, so keep your eyes open, your magnifier ready, and your curiosity alive, because the world of rare coins is full of surprises. The 1976 error bicentennial Kennedy half dollar. Have you ever held a coin that could be worth thousands or even millions without even realizing it? Imagine finding an old tucked away in a drawer, inside an old coin jar, or maybe in your pocket change, and discovering it's one of the rarest and most valuable bicentennial coins ever struck by the US Mint. Yes, you heard that right, a simple half dollar that was once worth 50 cents could now fetch staggering prices that leave collectors speechless. Life-changing money, and how to spot them before someone. The year 1976 was a historic moment in American numismatics. It marked the nation's bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. To celebrate, the U.S. Mint released special commemorative designs for the quarter, half dollar, and dollar coins. Each of these featured the dual date, 1776 to 1976. Symbolizing 2 centuries of American freedom. But among these millions of half dollars, one coin stands out: the 1976 D Kennedy half dollar, especially those struck with unusual errors. and rare varieties that have driven collectors into a frenzy for decades. The front, or obverse, retained Gilroy Roberts' iconic portrait of Kennedy, but included the dual dates 1776 to 1976 just below his neck. These coins were made in both copper-nickel clad for circulation and a limited number of 40% silver versions for collectors. But it's the errors, the accidents, the freak strikes that make the 1976 D Kennedy half-dollar so incredibly valuable. But that's just the beginning. Some collectors have discovered off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned when struck, leaving part of the design missing or shifted dramatically. The more off-center the coin, and the more of the design still visible, the higher its value. A 1976 D Kennedy half-dollar with a 50% off-center strike has been known to bring in $5,000 or more. Depending on grade and eye appeal, then there are planchette errors coins struck on the wrong type of metal. The normal 1976D was struck in copper-nickel clad, but a few incredibly rare examples were mistakenly struck on leftover silver plankets from the earlier 40% silver issues. If you find one of these, you're holding a small fortune. One verified example of a 1976D struck on a silver planchette sold for over $20,000 at auction. Another similar piece, authenticated by PCGS, reached nearly $40,000 because of its stunning condition and rarity. But wait, it gets even crazier. There have been verified cases of bicentennial Kennedy half-dollars struck on foreign plankets, metal blanks intended for other coins or countries. These mysterious pieces often weigh differently than normal half-dollars and have a distinct color or tone. Because of their extreme rarity and unique story, such coins can fetch $10,000 to $50,000, sometimes even more if authenticated by top grading services like PCGS or NGC.